Hey folks, good Thursday evening. It is August the 1st, 2024. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages, and it's now looking a little more likely that we may see the development of Tropical Storm Debby near Florida in the coming days. National Hurricane Center has now increased the odds of that happening. So here's the very latest. That system, that tropical wave we've been watching, has now been tagged as Invest 97L. We're going to decode exactly what that means. A named storm now looks more likely, and as I mentioned, the next name on our list would be Debby. And it could be, there are some indications based on modeling in the latest runs that it could be a long duration and impactful event for parts of the United States. I'm going to show you those latest models here in just a second. Here's Invest decoded. Invest is short for investigative area. It's a tropical wave we want to monitor for development. A 97 is just a record number. We cycle through 90 to 99, and the L is a basin indicator. So the L indicates that it is in the Atlantic basin. If we had an E after it, that would mean it's in the Eastern Pacific. So this is Invest 97L. Here's how it looks on satellite imagery on the infrared filter here. Basically a disorganized cluster of thunderstorms. We've got squally weather over Turks and Caicos, northern Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and heading into the Bahamas as well. Eventually this will congeal and organize a little bit more as it heads to the west-northwest over Cuba and eventually towards the Florida Straits and the eastern Gulf of Mexico within the next 7 days. Since we talked yesterday, odds have increased, especially in the short term. Yesterday, it was 0% odds. Now we're at moderate 40% chance of developing in the next 48 hours, and now a high chance of development at 70% within the next 7 days as it heads towards the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Let's look at our two long-range models here, global models, the European and the American. Nothing out there right now. It doesn't see any closed center of circulation, which is accurate because there is not one. We have to jump out through the weekend, and it's not until Saturday night that the GFS model here in the yellow, these are isobars, closed off, closed center of circulation off the southwest coast of Florida. American model, GFS picks up on that. Notice we do not see the European model here. Jumping ahead to Sunday morning, we see a little bit of an intensification here moving through Tampa, St. Petersburg, up and over Florida, and then re-emerging off the southeast coast of the United States, just to the east of Savannah and south of Charleston. This is, again, the American model. The GFS shows an intensifying, strengthening system potentially off the southeast coast. Still nothing from the European, though. Going a little bit farther out, GFS does drift this farther offshore to the east and intensifies it further as it's over the Gulf Stream there, very warm ocean waters. And here comes the European. Timeline is slowed down significantly for development based on the European, but it also shows it in the same general area by the middle of next week, developing off the southeast coastline. Which is right? Too early to tell for sure. Which is right on the intensity? Also too early to tell, but definitely something to watch there. Now let's get all the other computer models here. Each line is a different computer model. You may have heard this referred to as the spaghetti plots. A consensus of this moving to the west over the next couple of days, driven by a Bermuda high that's shoving it off to the west. But after that, it starts to take a turn to the north. Where exactly that turn happens looks to be a little bit more likely now along the west coast of Florida into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But there is considerable model spread here, as you'd expect at this timeline. Some models take it all the way out into the panhandle of Florida, maybe as far west as Mobile or New Orleans. There are a few there, but most are centered here on the eastern Gulf of Mexico, over Florida, and then moving off to the north and east, re-emerging off the southeast coastline. If you look at this closely, you'll notice a few of these spaghetti plot lines do loop around. And that is indicating the signal that models are picking up on weak upper-level winds, weak steering, that looks to shut down by early next week, meaning there's nothing to really carry this system and move it out quickly, which is why the scenario of a slowing forward speed or stalling system could be on the table here for this general area, which would lead to a pronounced flooding threat. So what can we say now at this point in time? Likely a system forms near Florida, likely to bring impacts to the United States. The odds are also increasing, as I mentioned, of a prolonged event, a flooding event potentially. When it's still too early to say, Exact timing and exact track, still too early. How strong it may be, and how extensive the impacts could be, and what portions of the U.S. could see those impacts. Based on modeling right now, I would say that all the areas in the yellow here, which is the central and eastern portion of the Gulf of Mexico and the southeast United States, need to monitor the forecast here over the next 7 days for potential impacts. Now, we are a third of the way through the hurricane season, right? Today is August the 1st. It started on June 1st. There is still a lot of season left. And in fact, look at the numbers here in the satellite era from 1966 through last year. 90% of hurricanes form after the 1st of August, and 97% of all major storms come after today. Season ticks up, peak is September 10th, so we'll see what the season holds for us. That's the latest update on Invest 97L, likely to become Debbie. If you have any questions, you can find me on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, and on TikTok. We'll see you again soon.